SPSS software to be open. So I would like to quickly address something here. While I was delivering project presentation, project writing tips, so there's a part that has to do with data collection method. So I said we have different methods of collecting data. So we have use of what? Questionnaires. So questionnaires, in these questionnaires, there are different kind of questions that you can have in questionnaires. You can have structured questions, you can have semi-structured and unstructured what? Questions. So when we say structured, this is for you to be able to know when you are writing statements under data collection, you know whether, okay, the questions actually, as in my questionnaires, the questions are there are some questions that are structured questions, there are some that are semi-structured or unstructured, or everything is purely what? Structured. So if you say structured questionnaires, it just means a closed-ended word questions like gender now. Okay, sorry. Like here now, this social demographic, gender is asking for whether you are a male or female. So that one is what? It's just a straightforward word. It's a closed-ended. So it's not asking for your word for your response. So it's what? It's a structured word questionnaire. For this age now, it's an unstructured word questionnaire. It's asking for what? For your age. You need to type, you need to write it there. You understand? So then we also have semi-structured. Semi-structured is just a combination of both structured and unstructured, just like this one now. Ethnicity. In ethnicity now, we have Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, others. Let's say in these others, I make a like I have a blank there. Let's say I have an underline space there. So I now maybe probably put there. Please specify. Please specify. So that turns this question to what? To a semi-structured question. So in that case, by the time you have that questionnaire now, it means the questionnaire contains structured questions, unstructured, and semi-structured. But in this case now, we don't have semi-structured. We only have what? Structured and unstructured. So you need to take note of that. So I think that's all. So let's now go back to SPSS setup and how we can navigate through the software. So now, I don't know whether the software has been sent to the platform for those people that registered to be able to have access to it. So for some of us that have not actually installed the software, so I think we should try and get it from maybe any of us later. So please, if you have our laptop here with us, can we just open let's open software. Did you register? So if we register, I think, is it not sent to you? Okay. So anyone that has it, so let's just try to follow the. So please, you can just try and let's just try and follow first. So first, we need to install our SPSS software on our laptop. So we have different versions. We have version 25, version 27. So for this particular one is actually version 27. So you need to know the version because it's very important in your project. Because they have to state, they have to mention the kind of SPSS software that you use. And if it's not software, if it's another software that you use, you indicate the version too. This is how version 27 looks like. If it's version 25, it has blue interface. I think the icon, where you are seeing this icon, so the background is what is blue. But this particular one is what version 27. So now when you want to install this software, the software comes in unzip folder. In unzip folder. Please check. I don't know. So I want to actually explain to us how we can install. Actually, the software, like I said, it comes in unzip folder. So when you open the okay. There's no way I can explain how to install this. So For the purpose of the installation, I think you have to do that one later. So it's not part of the. Okay, good. Okay. So for those that are currently here, so that don't have the software, we send it to you. Then and for those that are online, we actually send it to the platform so that you can have it at your own hand. Now, like I said, this is version 27. Now, SPS has two interface. So you can see here we have the data view and we have the variable view. So this one that is showing like this, what is the data view? If you click on this variable view, this the variable view. So let's start with the data view. Just like in mathematics, we have a group data. So just or in spreadsheet or Excel, when you see like we when you open spreadsheet or you open Excel, you see columns and rows, table like this. So when you look up, you see what they are. They what? They represent what? Variable. So now you can see when you look at this VAR, they have not been we have not actually what created any variable yet. That's why it's appearing blank. We have not created any variable yet. That's why it's appearing blank. So to be able to create that variable view, you have to go to the what? To be able to create variable, you go to variable view. So now this variable view, now you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. So let's go to data view again. This is variable 1, variable 2, variable 3. So if you go to variable view, everything is what is in order like that. So it then means that this first one here, the row 1 represents variable what? Variable 1 under what? Under the data view. Row 2 represents what? Variable 2 under what? Under the data view. Row 3, this row 3 represents column what? That's or variable what? Variable 3, that's this column under the data view. So now to be able to create the variable, we come back to what? To variable view. So we have, let's look at row 1. Under it we have what? Name. That's the name of the what? Of the variable you are referring to. The type. So the type of data that your variable is. So let's say we want to create age now. Age is a variable. So I want to tell you this: all the questions in your questionnaires, they are all variables, and they are either what? Categorical or numerical. So those are the two key things that you need to know. Now, let's create age now. Age. Let's type age. So that's the variable name. Then let's come to type. You next it. You use your tab or use your cursor and move to the type space. Then on this data type, on this variable, this is asking for what type of variable are you dealing with? Is it a numerical variable or is it a what? Categorical variable. So now, if this age now, age is what? We expect age to be what? To be a numerical variable. So let's just click on this type to see what is inside. So we have different kind of what? Variable type. We have numeric, comma, string. So now we only make use of two. Of what? We only make use of two variable type here. The numeric and the what? And the string. This string represents the categorical. So now, since we are dealing with age now, we leave it at what? At numeric. Then next is decimal. Now age doesn't usually have what? Decimal. So we change it to what? To 0. Then the next thing is label. Okay, width. Okay, actually this width is not actually very important, but it's also important. Why it is important is when you are in your data view. See, this is your data view. So this represents the width from here to here. It represents the width. So if I increase it now, let's say I increase it and I go back to variable view, you see that it will have changed. Sorry. Width. Why? Okay. Sorry. Sorry for the mistake. So width is actually the number of what? Of character that you can have. So now this age now is just 3 character. So this width, this one here is actually for column. It represents this column means that's the width or the width of the what? Of the column. How you want it to be. That's what this column represents. So now let me start again. We have the name, that's the age, the numeric and the type of data or variable data is numeric. So width as I said, it represents the number of what character. So age is just 3 characters, so you leave it like that. So but if it's more than that, you can increase it. So decimal, age doesn't have decimal. Then label, this label represents, this label is just a particular part where you can, let's say for instance, let me come to this questionnaire. So look at this questionnaire now. Look at this variable 5, that's level of education. You can see the character is what is plenty. So let me say I want to type level of education. This space now, if I want to type level of education, okay, maybe I will explain that in the next variable. So let's leave it like that. But this label actually represents, and that's the particular space where you can type out all the informations or all the characters that your variable represents or that is present in your variable. So these values is actually used to code. We use this value to code. So when you open it, you can see value and label. Value and label. So what this means is that if take for instance now, if you have gender, I think I will explain that in the next variable. Let me leave it. So it's not applicable in what? In age. So missing is not actually useful. Colon, this colon actually represents the what? The width. That the width of what? Of the space. Or of the column of the variable rather. Then alignment represents all this one. To me, they are what? They are not that important. But I'm just trying to explain so that at least you know what each of them represents. But if you are working with data, you don't need all this. They are not that important. So this alignment represents how you want your data to be aligned. Do you want it to be aligned on the right or on the left or on the center? I mean, or in the center. So that's what that represents. So measure now. Measure represents, okay, now, just like what my colleague has, how he has explained earlier on in data literacy. So we have different kind of data. We have the categorical and numerical. For every numerical data, use scale. Why for every categorical data, use what? Ordinal or nominal. So ordinal or nominal, if you use any of them, SPSS represents it as sees it as categorical. It doesn't see it as whether it's what's it called, numeric or the other way around. So if you pick ordinal or you pick nominal, it's what still the same thing. SPSS recognizes that as one, as categorical. So the only thing you just need there is you are either picking scale or you are either picking what? Ordinal or nominal. So but in this case, age is what? Is numeric. So we pick what? We pick scale. So out of out of all these rows now, the only thing that are important is the name, the type of the data, the decimal in some cases, label, values in some cases, and measures. So not all of them are, this row too is not important. This input is not important. So let's move on to the next one. Let's say the next one is gender now. Let me type gender. Then here, gender is what? Is not numeric. Because gender can either be what? Male or female. So you cannot say gender is what? Is a figure. So what you pick here is what? Is strength. So if I pick strength here, then I click what? Okay. So you can see it has changed to what? To strength. But mind you, during the course of, let's take for instance, you are working with hard copy questionnaires. We are working with hard copy questionnaires. If during the course of entering your data, if you are using string, we find it very, very tedious and difficult when entering data. Why? Because let's say for instance, okay, sorry, let me just be done with this. I will explain that later. So, like I said, gender is what? Is categorical. We select string because string represents what? Categorical. Then this width, so it's not that important. So decimals too, you don't need it. So let's say now, this label now, let's say here, I wanted to type gender, let me space it, of participants or of respondents. Let's say gender of respondents. If I next it like this, you can see it's saying what? Variable name contains an illegal character. Meaning that this particular name, this column, it has some certain character that it does not recognize, and that's what space. It does not recognize space. If you put space there, it does not recognize it. So what you need to do is, let's say for instance, you want to type gender of what respondent, just put either full stop or you put underscore to represent what? Your space. In case. But mind you, that particular space is too small. Instead of you bothering to type gender of patient, gender of respondent, just come to label here and type everything there. Gender of respondents. So this one recognizes all character. Just leave it like that. because this label now, it means by the time your result is coming out, it will not come out as what, as gender, it will come out as what, as this label. Are you following? So that's the sense of this label. So this label, whatever character that this one cannot recognize, this label will recognize it. At the same time, this particular space, like I said, doesn't recognize all character. So all you need to do is just, if you want to use space, you use what, full stop, or use underscore. So let's continue. So this one now, alignment. Let's say I want it to be in the same alignment. I'll choose right again. So then gender is, which type of data is gender? Is what? Is either, is what? It's going to be nominal, because it is what? It is male or female. So you can see in this case, the scale itself has already what? Disappeared. So, but mind you, like I said, if it's either nominal or ordinal, SPSS doesn't, like, it doesn't differentiate between the two. It recognizes both as categorical. So now, let me deal with these two first. So now, let's now come here. For those that will be using hard copy now, hard copy questionnaires. Let's say now, I want to enter questionnaire. Though all this will still be taught in the subsequent what, classes. You understand? But I still want to have prior what idea down. Tomorrow we are going to dwell into this area in details. Now let's say I have my questionnaire. The first questionnaire is what is shown. Okay, let's say on the age I have 20 years there. I'll just type 20. You see, then move it to gender. Then that particular questionnaire, the gender there is what is male. You know this is strength. I will now type my strength. M-A-L-E. That's male. Now you can see that if I have several string questions like that, it's going to take me time typing those what, those questions. I mean those response out. It's going to take me time. Let's say I have the next one, level of education. I will now type. Okay, let's say the person pick undergraduate. I'll still type undergraduate. Let's say I have the next one like that. So by the time you want to look at it, it will take you a lot of time. So instead, we do what we call coding. So that one what will be explained. We explain that one in details tomorrow. So instead of using this string now, I will now change this string back to what, to numeric. By the time I change back to numeric, I will now come to what, to this value and what, and code it. Okay, code it in the sense that I want every male to what, to be 1. Meaning that if I type 1, it will represent what, male. If I type 2, it will represent what, female. I will now code it here and put 1, that's value. Label male. Then I will include it. So all this will be explained tomorrow by God's grace. So in short, how we can navigate through this SPSS is that we should have it at the back of our mind that when working with SPSS, we should be able to have it in our mind that there are two views. We have data view and what? And variable view. And in the data view, all the variables that are what? That are at the edges are usually what? Created using variable views. Then another thing I also need to explain to you that tomorrow we'll be working with different method of what? Of analysis. And in working with this, there are some icons we are going to be making use of. So among these icons, look up everybody. You can see we have what? Transform. We'll be working with this transform if time permits us. So under this transform, we may likely be working with the code into into different variables most likely. And we may also be working with visual binding. All this will be explained tomorrow. Now, let me just quickly tell you what this is all about. So let's take for instance now, we have age. We have age 20, 30, no, like let's say we have age is a continuous variable. At the end of the day, by the time the result comes out, the result now will come out in the sense that all the ages will be represented. Let's say we have 20 now. The number of 20s will be represented. Let's say we have 23. Number of 23 will be represented in terms of frequency. Now, if you now have plenty of ages, it's going to be difficult for you to be able to use that particular age, what's called result at the end of the day. So by so doing, we need to do what we call categorize. We categorize our age. How do we do that? To be able to do that, tomorrow we will be looking at this transform. Under this transform, that's why we'll be able to know how we can categorize age into what? Let's say we have let's say we want to use age bracket, that's 18 to 35, 35 to 40, 60 to what? 60 to 80, above like that. So we'll use this word transform. And under this transform, you can either use recode into different variables or visual binding. We'll explain all this tomorrow. So now, part of the analysis, in terms of analysis, the icon we will be working with is the analyze. When you come to analyze, you have different analysis method there. You have the descriptive statistics. So under it, we have frequency, descriptive. So the one we'll be working with is most likely frequency, descriptive, and crosstabs. So this workshop, like my colleague has rightly said, that we are not actually looking towards you guys becoming an expert. Even we are not experts. I will tell you, this particular SPSS, the only percent, like the level of SPSS knowledge I have, I don't think it's even up to like let's say 20 or 30%, because it's very broad what software. And same thing goes to other data analysis tools. You cannot know everything. You get to discover it day by day. But for the purpose of this particular research work, so we'll only be looking at frequency, descriptive, and most especially cross tabs. So they will also be looking at okay, under this analysis, if maybe most likely we are able to come across um research that warrant us using all these t-tests, what we also do that. But I don't think we are going to make use of, because from experience some of the research work have actually like what's it called seen. So most of them they don't usually use all these t-tests. Why? Because in these our settings here we normally make use of categorical variables. Look at questionnaires. Questionnaires, they are categoricals, because you are asking for questions, yes or no, agree, disagree. All those are what they are categorical. They unlike when you are maybe probably in other sphere of education, what's it called, academic, like science course. Now you are working with, let's say, a particular drugs. You want to know the test of that drugs. Are you getting it now? So by the time you are doing that, you'll be having numerical variable, I mean what data, like you'll be having like let's say 20.1, 20.2. So when you're having results like that, you use this, that's why you use what, you use some of all these what t-tests. So but in our own settings here, what we normally use is what is chi-square. So basically our analysis will be based on three aspects. First, we'll be looking at descriptive what statistics, which we can otherwise call univariate what analysis. We'll be looking at bivariate what analysis. Then to some extent we also look at okay multivariate if time permits. But because I've seen one or two research work here where they're asking for multivariate what analysis, they ask them to do multivariate analysis. So if time permits us tomorrow, what we'll be able to dwell into that. So I think for now that's just all we need to know about SPSS setup, and how we can navigate through it. Then lest I forget, you can also be working with some chart builder. That's how you can also construct charts, because if there are some situations whereby, let's say for instance now, in your research work they are asking for prevalence. Yes, if they ask for prevalence, it is very important that you make use of charts. Let's say maybe you ask for prevalence of what, of the level of depression among, let's say, medical students. By the time you come up with a result, let's say you have 60 something percent as what, as the prevalence, then it is better you use chart for prevalence. Then there are also some form of what result that it is better that what I use what use chart. But for me, I normally use what Excel chart. I normally use Excel chart. So therefore, most likely tomorrow we may also be able to like we may also go into what using Excel to do some computations, and also to be able to what to actually draw charts that can be appealing for result analysis. So that's just it about the SPSS setup, and how we can navigate through it. So if there's any question, you can DM any of our maybe presenter or anybody that maybe probably have one or two questions. So you should ask, or should send to the platform. So we are sort it out at the end of the day. So that's just it. So please, is there any questions?